All right, let's dive right into this incredibly fascinating explainer about the Fonty School. Basically, what we're looking at today is this visionary educational blueprint that flips the script. It actually turns the very building you learn in into a living, breathing curriculum. So if you've ever felt like traditional education kind of separates academic learning from real-world doing, well, this is absolutely a framework worth unpacking together.
It really boils down to this foundational philosophy. You have this brilliant contrast between the scholar, who is studying everything completely abstractly, and Fonty, the observer, who is literally washing windows and learning straight from the real world. Think about the traditional model for a second. You might have an elephant sitting in a library studying urban aesthetic systems, but then you have Fonty, high up on scaffolding with a squeegee in hand. He doesn't just read about the city, he's reading the city from the outside in. He understands the precise boundary where glass meets steel because he's out there physically touching it.
And that brings us to the real kicker here. At the Fonty School, experience always precedes the framework. You don't just sit and study economics from a textbook for 4 years and then, maybe eventually try to run a store. It's the exact opposite. You run a store, you manage the inventory, you deal with customer complaints, and through all of that very real friction, you naturally encounter economics. The action itself is the learning.
To help us wrap our heads around this massive blueprint, we're going to follow a quick roadmap. We'll start with the window washer philosophy, explore Tier 1, the physical campus, look at a living data ecosystem, move on to Tier 2, school in a box, and finally, check out Tier 3, wild learning.
So you can basically think of this framework as expanding outward in 3 main steps. Tier 1 is the flagship school, Tier 2 is the school in a box, and Tier 3 brings us into wild learning.
First up is Tier 1, the physical campus. This is exactly where the architecture is the curriculum. We start on the ground in the flagship physical Fonty School, designed as a vertical campus where every single floor has its own character and houses real enterprises run by the students.
Seriously, forget your standard classrooms with rows of desks. Here, you have students running the daily operations. They're managing the trunk, which is a fully functional retail store. They run the watering hole cafe, handling everything from food supply to shift schedules. There's even a TV broadcast studio, the Fonty News Network, where student reporters are right there courtside at the basketball games. Add in a fully functioning greenhouse called the Canopy and a rooftop observatory, and you get the picture. Every enterprise is an internship, and that internship, well, that is the class.
I mean, just look at the sheer ambition of this campus design. It even features a protruding Oslo-style opera house built right into the second floor. Imagine this massive angled roof extending outward. It serves as both a student performance space and a totally public community venue where people from the neighborhood can literally walk up the sloped roof. And the students aren't just putting on the plays. They are managing the entire venue, the whole shebang from the box office down to the lighting rigs. Which leads us perfectly into our next section, a living data ecosystem, where we're dealing with real numbers and real consequences. Now you might be wondering, how do traditional subjects even fit into such a hands-on environment?
This sparks one of the most transformative ideas in the entire blueprint. What if a school didn't actually need to invent fake math problems, simply because the school itself was generating real, usable data every single minute of the day? Instead of dealing with abstract theory, Fonty Learning relies on concrete, real-world contrast. They pull real financial data right from these student enterprises. For example, an economics class might sit down and analyze if the cafe actually lost money by ordering way too many avocados for their new seasonal menu. Or a statistics class might correlate the local weather with foot traffic in the school store. They are learning complex math, economics, and ethics using the living, breathing numbers generated by their own peers. And here's why that is absolutely crucial. This living data ecosystem means students are providing a tangible service to each other. When the accounting students present their quarterly audit of the school store and the student managers have to actually respond to those findings, that is civic life in action. Making accountability a daily practice teaches data literacy and ethics so much better than any textbook ever could. Okay, moving on to Tier 2, School in a Box, where we start digitizing the experience. Because the reality is, you don't need to be standing in the physical building to get this kind of education. This tier takes the core Fonty philosophy and packages it into a highly scalable curriculum. School in a Box means homeschoolers or even school districts halfway across the world can adopt these immersive modules. It's the exact same school, just perfectly simulated. Students log in and they can take on the role of the stage manager, the cafe shift lead, or the news anchor, interacting inside a highly responsive, AI-generated environment.
It's like this incredible AI sandbox.
Students can test hypotheses and run massive counterfactuals without any real-world stakes. A student can literally ask the AI, "Hey, what happens if I increase my notebook order by 20%, but I drop the price?" The AI steps in as a collaborator, not just an answer machine, to help them build financial models, test demand, and refine their scripts long before they ever launch something in the real world.
And that brings us to the final layer, Tier 3, Wild Learning, also known as the metaphorical animal universe. Think of this as a modern, gifted and talented program, but one that is completely powered by imagination and built for any student who learns best through story and metaphor. In this layer, students dive into a professional universe of animal characters as deep, realistic case studies. Take Irma Sloth, for instance. She runs a cafe, and yes, she's slow, but she uses AI to handle all her fast-paced inventory so she can focus 100% on warm, intentional customer relationships. Or look at Jasper Ant, who renegotiated his traditional role in the colony, using AI to do his manual labor so he could go out and pioneer a brand new genre of music.
Then you've got characters like Ben Tortoise, whose natural, slowness actually becomes a massive venture capital advantage as he invests patiently in long-term real estate. Or Bartholomew Bear, whose meticulous construction firm literally built the school's opera house in the lore. And remember, these aren't just cute fairy tales. These characters have real balance sheets, complex client histories, and deep decision logs.
These characters act as mirrors for the student's own potential. And what's super cool is that an ethics class, a design class, and a business class can all be studying the exact same animal professional, like Vivian Crane, the urban planner, or Cornelius Fox, the investigative journalist, but from entirely different academic angles. It creates this incredibly unified, multidisciplinary experience.
Because here's the secret sauce. Metaphorical thinking turns these case studies into personal mirrors. By treating these fictional animals with the exact same seriousness a top-tier business school treats real-world executives, students learn how to use their imagination as a razor-sharp analytical tool. They aren't just reading dry data, they're connecting with a story. And since they care about the character's journey, they naturally start to care about the math, the ethics, and the science behind the decisions that character makes.
So from a single window washer's perspective looking in through the glass all the way to this vast AI-integrated universe of student-run stores and professional animal mentors, the Fonty School proves a really powerful point. Every single person is already interesting, they are already capable, and they already possess something worth sharing if we just give them the right environment to discover it. It's a truly brilliant framework that honestly makes you reevaluate your own learning environment. The architecture around you, the data you generate, the metaphors you use, they are all teaching you something right now. So I'll leave you with this thought to chew on today. What invisible systems and lessons are right in front of you, just waiting to be noticed?